Hey guys, welcome back. It's a beautiful fall day and I thought we would make some arrangements together. So I have been seeing pumpkin decorations everywhere. I've been seeing pumpkin pie, pumpkin soup, pumpkin. I don't know how many times I said pumpkin, but count, let me know. So I thought it'd be fun to make some arrangements but using pumpkins as our vessel. So for Thanksgiving, I like to use arrangements as our centerpiece along with some other decorations. And I told you guys how I like to wash our pumpkins really well and dry them out so they dry them off so they have a long life, and you should do the same if you want to use them, because it's always nice to utilize things twice. So you can use your pumpkins as decoration, you can use them to cook, or you can use them as a flower vessel, which is what we're going to be doing today. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know about you guys, but once Thanksgiving is over, so I'm going to use some of the pumpkins for arrangements, and once Thanksgiving is over, I'm in like Christmas mode. So it's just like kind of perfect timing. And if you don't use your pumpkins to eat, or if you're just going to discard it, why not try to use it for something beautiful? So anyways, let me go ahead and show you the flowers that we have. I did harvest some dahlias last night because I was afraid we were going to have a windstorm, and I was like, okay, there's so many blooms on there, I better get to them before the wind does. So I did harvest some flowers last night. I also picked up some flowers at the market, so I'll show you those, and then we'll do our first arrangement, talk about it, and then move on to our second and third. So here we go. So before we get started, you can see the dahlias are actually doing pretty good. Some of them are kind of beat up, and I've taken some of the stakes down just because we're kind of getting towards the end of the season. And I will be showing you guys how I like to dig up my tubers and store them. So just keep an eye out for that. But I think they're still doing so beautiful, and I'm just like, please just last a little bit longer, just because it's so fun to get up in the morning and come out here, and like it's such a beautiful day today. But anyways, it's just fun to get up in the morning and you see your backyard just full of flowers like this. It's so magical, and I'm just so excited. So let me show you guys the ones that we harvested yesterday. Okay, so these are some of the flowers we harvested. I harvested all of the dahlias are from the garden. I did pick up some of these beautiful white roses for our first arrangement. I also have some hydrangeas over here that I harvested. I have some of these beautiful mums, eucalyptus from the garden as well. And then on this side, we have the St. John worts that I picked up. We also have these jumbo mums, which are just so beautiful. I love that deep burgundy color. Look at this beautiful rose from the garden. This is a Coco Loco, which is probably one of my favorite roses. Love this one. Cafe au lait, of course, always a classic. Rip City Dahlia. I've been vibing with these dark tones so much this year, which is so unlike me because I gravitate towards like the peachy colors, the orange colors, but I've been really loving these deep tones this year. I also harvested some of our Queen Anne's lace. I started this from seed this year, and they're so beautiful, and their blooms are so gigantic. And I also picked up some of this eucalyptus from the store, and actually our eucalyptus is going pretty wild. Let me actually show you guys. So our eucalyptus is like doing super well. I started these from seed. They were so easy. I was kind of intimidated in the beginning, just because I've never grown them before. So this was my first year with eucalyptus, but it's definitely going to be a repeat in the garden next year. And they're perfect for cut flowers, of course. Oh, and I also bought these. Aren't these so fun? I think they're called pumpkin sticks. I could be wrong, but I've never grown these. I would love to try to grow them. If you have, let me know if you have any tips or tricks or any recommendations. And now I'm just distracted by this little bee here. They've been loving the dahlias. I love to leave the dahlias to bloom all the way like this because look at the bees. They just love them so much. Anyways, let me show you guys the pumpkin, and then we will get started on our first arrangement. The first step into getting these color was just painting it all one solid color. And I just kind of did this like navy gray, which I mixed, I think I mixed gray with some blue, black, and a little bit of purple. So I just made my own color because I wasn't seeing any color that I like. And then I use this beautiful metallic color on top, which I will throw up a picture of them up on the screen for you guys to see. But I actually did an arrangement similar to this a couple of years back for a friend's wedding, but we actually used white pumpkins and gold leaf, which is fun to use, but it can get a little bit expensive if you're using a lot of it. So I think this is just so much more fun. I've been seeing these types of pumpkins be done all over Instagram, which I will link down an account down below for you guys to see the inspiration behind this one right here. But you know, if you're getting married during the fall time, this is such a fun way to utilize pumpkins. You can get a bunch of white ones like we did. You can paint them ever so slightly, maybe like an off tone creamy color, and then you can do like a gold leaf or gold flakes, or just use these beautiful metallic paints that you can pick up at Michael's or you can order online. But I think this is so fun. I think this is going to be kind of a moody arrangement. I'm going to use maybe like some of the cafe au lait dahlias, some of the white roses, maybe some of these burgundy deep tone colors, and then we'll just play around and see. Okay, so before we get into the mechanics of this arrangement, let's talk a little bit more about the painting. So the first coat that I did was just a dark color. I just used a simple brush and I just brushed on the paint. I didn't, only one coat was needed for this arrangement, but I did keep the paint for the next day, which I recommend you do in case you have any smudges or you need to go back and touch it up. So I let that sit overnight, and then the next day I used the metallic paint, which I had the lid on top, not the lid, the top of the pumpkin on top. And then because I wanted everything, all of the lines to line up so it wasn't off. So you see on the clip that I left it on top, and then I used the metallic paint, and I just kind of did it kind of wispy towards the bottom because I want it to look very natural. I don't want it to have any hard lines. So I just kind of, you know, stroke the brush back and forth just very loosely. You know, I didn't want it to feel like very structured. I just want it to be kind of effortless, which I think is what we were able to accomplish with this, with the color and the way we did it. Okay, so let's talk about the mechanics. So I used this plastic just to line the bottom just a little bit, and this is the plastic that was wrapped around some of the flowers that I purchased. You can use just a plastic bag. It doesn't have to be fancy at all. And then on the bottom, I actually put a little bit of chicken wire just to elevate our foam a little bit more. That way we're not using too much foam or wasting too much foam. And again, I've talked to you guys before about how to soak your foam. You just want to set it in water and let it soak up water on its own. You don't want to force it in. So if you want to go back to our video, I'll link it down below for you guys to see how I did that. But it's really easy. It's really simple. There's no, no trickery going on here. It's just the chicken wire, the foam, the plastic lining. And, I know the mechanics look ugly. So we want to make sure when we're done, we cover everything so nobody is going to see what is going on underneath here. So anyways, let's go ahead and just get started. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit of eucalyptus. How's your guys' fall coming along? I feel like it's been going by so fast. Like Christmas is right around the corner, which is so crazy. And it's funny because I always tell myself like, okay, this year I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to buy all of my gifts early. And then it's like December 15th and I haven't bought a single gift. I'm that type of person. Like I like to plan, but I know myself, I'm not a planner. I try to tell myself I am, but when it comes to like gifts, I also have to like be in the moment, like sometimes I'll see things throughout the year where I'll think of somebody and I'll buy it and I'll save it. But other times it's like I really have to see it for it to like spark something in me that I think that person will like it. So anyways, but I have been just trying to soak in like the last few days of sun, and it's just been raining so much here, which is totally fine. I'd rather have the rain than, not. So it's just been it's been hard to get out here to film. Of course, I still garden in the rain. I have no problem doing that. It's challenging when it's raining to film. And for this arrangement, I kind of want to go kind of in a moody type of vibe, just because it looks pretty moody to me, like the color that I chose. So that's kind of the tones that I want to stay in. I love this eucalyptus so much. I like how it's like kind of loose and like whimsical. Okay, so I'm gonna use some roses. And remember what I taught you guys in one of our first arrangement videos is to kind of reflect the petals back if you want them to be a little bit more open. That way you actually, it's one flower, but you're giving it a completely different look, which is always fun. Just like that. Perfect. I can't see over this atriplex. Oh, I think these would be really beautiful. Not too clashy. Okay, so now I want to put the top on, just that way I can see where my gaps are going to be. And I kind of remember that this is how it should technically sit. So I'm going to use skewers, and then we are going to just drive them in to our pumpkin, just like so. And you kind of want to do it kind of towards the center where it's not going to be on the outside. And because I am using such a heavy top, I want to do a lot of skewers. Of course, you can cut this very small and just use like the very top of it. I think that would look very beautiful as well. I just wanted this look for this arrangement, but you can really do it any way that you want to do that. And make sure you're just not driving it too far where it's going to puncture through the top. Oh, just like that. I just punctured right through the top. Do as I say, not as I do. That's okay. We can just cover that up with a little bit of paint. Yeah, they'll be perfectly fine. I think I'll take that out actually. Okay, so now we're just going to be cutting our skewers. Just like so. And I'm actually going to cut them at an angle so they're a little bit sharp going in. Just like that. And then I'm just driving it down ever so slightly, just like that. You can do it higher, you can do it lower, just depending on how big you want the flowers to look coming out of the pumpkin. So there's the little hole, but that's okay. I'm just going to take a little bit of paint and paint right over that, and it'll be no problem at all. Okay, so now that we have our top on, we're gonna fill the gaps that we see that are still open. So you can see this is a pretty large arrangement, but that's what I wanted. I wanted something very dramatic. But now this gives us an idea of, you know, where we need to add more flowers to fill in those gaps. So let's just dive right in. Let's see, where do we wanna go next? All right, I think this turned out so beautiful. I am so excited about it. I'm definitely going to recreate something similar to this for Thanksgiving. So I think what I love most about this, or the idea of this, is it looks like the flowers are just coming out of the pumpkin, like to you, which I think it just looks so beautiful. There's something also just so like artful about doing them this way, and I just think it's a nice twist on just a traditional pumpkin with flowers inside. So I love this. I did touch up on the area where we punctured through, which is totally fine, and I think of an arrangement like this will probably last, I would say, maybe 5 to 7 days. So I would probably do this the day of or the night before Thanksgiving. And make sure it's just well hydrated. If you're worried, then make sure you line the inside really well and you fill it up with water, even though you already have the foam in there. But I love it. Isn't it so pretty? And I went with the moody colors like I mentioned. I just kind of wanted to go with this dark theme. And I like how it's not just like a perfectly round circle. I just wanted this to look just different. And I think if you have something like this and you're at your Thanksgiving dinner, it's definitely going to be a conversation piece. So that's this one. Let's move on to the second arrangement. Okay, so for our next arrangement, I just kind of traced the outline of this vase that we're going to be using, and I'm going to actually put the flowers inside the vase inside. I think I will use foam in here, but I want this to just sit inside nice and neatly. And this one's not going to have a top, so we're going to do a topless pumpkin. And I'm just going to go slightly bigger than the container, just because I know we're going to make it a little bit wider. Okay, so now I'm just going to clean out the inside. Okay, just like that. Now I am going to elevate this somehow. This is just regular foam, it's not flower foam, and you can reuse this over and over for different projects. So it's just going to look like that, and you don't have to use the foam. You could just use like a little container and put it upside down, or a small bowl. So don't think you have to buy this separately just for this purpose right here. All right, so now that we have that here, let's get started. All right, well, arrangement number 2 is done. I love how this turned out. I think the pumpkins just add like the sweetest little touch. And I loved using a lot of orange in here just because I think orange complements green really well. And I also just like the different coloration here. I think it just makes it look real, right? It doesn't look artificial. This just looks real and naturey and just beautiful. Now before I added the eucalyptus, I think it did look a little too much like a cupcake, which is, if that's the look that you're looking or going for, then perfect, you can stop there. But I think adding the eucalyptus here just all the way around makes it just like a little bit more wild and fun. I think I'll add a little bit more over here in this area. But overall, I think this is so fun. Again, I wanted just to use orange just to emphasize on fall, which, you know, it's such a fall color. And I think this is just a beautiful arrangement. This would be really beautiful as a centerpiece as well. And you could do like 2 smaller ones. So you could have this big one and then do 2 little other arrangements with the similar flowers. And that way you have a really beautiful setup in the center of your Thanksgiving dinner. So let's get on to our third one. Okay, so for our final arrangement, this is going to be a no carve arrangement. So we're just setting our piece of foam on top of our pumpkin, and then we are going to use some floral tape, and we are going to tape down this foam to our pumpkin here, just like that. Oops. And you just want to make sure that your pumpkin is super dry. That way the tape really sticks on to the pumpkin. It's not going to stick onto the wet foam, but it will stick down to the pumpkin. So just, you know, you can double up if you want, and make sure you use something like this if you're not going to be using flower or floral tape, just because you want something that has really good grip. So I wouldn't use any regular tape. And just make sure that, you know, you have to be careful with this next arrangement. You don't want to move it around too much, just because it's not going to be the most secure one of all. You can certainly, you know, put it in a box if you're going to be transferring it, and that will be okay. But just again, be careful, because it is going to be, it could be knocked over more so than the other ones. All right, well, arrangement number 3 is done, and I love the way it turned out. I am obsessed with these little cosmos that we planted this spring. Actually, we planted these in a video, and they've just been such a great producer of blooms, and I love using it in cut arrangements. We used a lot of the little limes, hydrangeas, which you guys know I picked up 10 of these, so I'm super excited to plant them. But meanwhile, I love using the blooms for arrangements. I use a little bit of dry accent, which I think just kind of gives it this like really rustic look. I think this would be a beautiful wedding arrangement right here. I think these colors, they're very fall without being too like too fall, you know, like sometimes you get too much orange or too much like deep tones. I think this kind of breaks it up, and I think it just looks very whimsical and just very like delicate and sweet. The Queen Anne's lace is just such a beautiful addition. The roses, I just think everything turned out so beautiful. And again, the great thing about this is if you don't want to actually, you know, open up a pumpkin and, you know, plant or make your arrangement inside of the pumpkin, you have the option of doing it just on top with the foam like I did. Now with this arrangement, I would probably do this the day of or the night before Thanksgiving if you were going to be using this type of arrangement. That way everything looks fresh, and you're not really moving it around too much, you know, from place to place, so less risk of it falling over. But I'm shaking it, and it's like pretty sturdy, so I don't think it's gonna go anywhere as long as you don't have people picking at it. Anyways, I think it's so beautiful, and I had such a good time making these with you guys. All right, guys, well, that's it for today's project. I hope you guys enjoyed watching those come together. I certainly had a good time putting them together with you guys. Definitely let me know which one you like the best, the first arrangement, second, or third, down in the comment section. And if you recreate any of these, please tag me on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to see what you guys come up with and what your creations end up looking like. But yeah, you can definitely downscale these arrangements. I know I made them pretty big. In fact, Sergey was laughing at me because he thought for sure the third one would be a lot smaller, but you know, I had all these flowers. I didn't want them to go to waste, so I used them all up. But you can use like a smaller piece of foam, and you could use like a few roses, maybe a little bit of a filler, whichever one you like. Of course, I like eucalyptus, and just like a couple of other different flowers. So you don't have to make it this big and this dramatic. So, or you could also take like 4 or 5 pumpkins, kind of line them up at the center of your table and make small arrangements like the third one, but just make them a lot smaller. That way you have a lot more, and it kind of creates this beautiful like long arrangement centerpiece. So anyways, there's definitely a lot of room to be creative. I'm definitely excited to recreate the first one for Thanksgiving. I might do a couple of smaller ones like the same style, but just a little bit smaller. Just that way I have a really nice spread. But yeah, I'm really excited. I hope you guys took away some inspiration from today's video, and it gives you some ideas of what you can do using your pumpkins and flowers. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.